My name is Zvangu. Welcome to my channel where I revisit the Shona customs and traditions by explaining Shona proverbs and also by telling Shona folk stories. So today we are looking at this Shona proverb, CHARA CHIMWE HACHITSWANYI INDA. What does this proverb mean? So literally speaking, CHARA CHIMWE means one finger. Say you are doing a piece of work. Can you accomplish anything using one finger? You can see that you can't, it's practically impossible. You can't achieve much when you are working using just one finger. So applying this proverb to our everyday life, it means there are times in life where you need others to help you to accomplish certain things. This is very practical in our Shona culture. For example, if you were going to pay Rora or Robola, you wouldn't go on your own. You would need your relatives, you would need your friends, your elders, your pastors. The whole village will be involved. So this is what this Shona proverb means, that at times you need others. You need them to help you to do certain things. So the next thing I'm going to do is to leave you to listen to a short story, a real life scenario that will leave you, with a clear picture of what this Shona proverb, Chara Chimwe HachitSwanyi Inda, means. But before I do that, I just want to say a very big thank you to my subscribers. And for those who are here for the first time, welcome, welcome. Please do subscribe because it goes a long way to help me to continue creating these videos to revisit our Shona culture, our Shona heritage. And I just want to say, please don't go away, don't go away. Just sit back and relax and watch this video to the end. Until we meet again to explore another Shona proverb, take care. Chapter 1: The Great Idea. In the small village of Mbaira in Zimbabwe lived two friends, Kudakwashe and Tariro. Both were known for their cleverness and strong will, but they were also very different. Kudakwashe, or Kuda as everyone called him, was full of big ideas. He loved to dream about ways to improve the village and often spent his days thinking of new inventions. Tariro, on the other hand, was practical and hardworking. She believed in getting things done and was always busy helping her family or working in the fields. One bright morning, Kuda ran excitedly to Tariro's house. Tariro, Tariro, I've the greatest idea, he shouted, barely able to contain his excitement. Tariro looked up from her work, curious. What is it this time, Kuda? Kuda explained. You know how the river is far from the village and we spend so much time fetching water. What if we build a large water tank in the village? That way, everyone can have water close by and we won't have to walk so far every day. Tarilo listened carefully. It was indeed a good idea, but she knew that it would be a big task. That sounds like a great idea, Kuda, she said slowly. But building a water tank is a lot of work. How do you plan to do it? Kuda grinned. I'll figure it out. I can do it on my own. I just need to start. But Taro shook her head. This isn't something you can do alone, Kuda. It's too big. We should work together. Two heads are better than one. Kuda was determined to prove that he could do it by himself. Don't worry, Tariro. I'll show you that I can do it on my own. And with that, Kuda ran off to start working on his plan while Tariro watched, wondering if Kuda really understood how big the task ahead of him was. Chapter 2. The first attempt. Kuda was excited to begin his project. He started by gathering materials, stones, clay, and wood from the surrounding hills and forests. He worked tirelessly from sunrise to sunset, determined to build the water tank as quickly as possible. Kuda was strong and full of energy, and for the first few days, everything seemed to be going well. But soon, Kuda began to realize that the task was much harder than he had expected. The stones were heavy and the work was exhausting. He struggled to lift the stones high enough to build the walls of the tank. The clay he collected was not enough to hold the stones together, and the wood kept breaking when he tried to use it as a support. One evening, Escuda sat on a large stone, wiping the sweat from his brow. He looked at the little progress he had made. The wall of the tank was barely up to his knees, and he knew that he had a long way to go. Taro passed by and saw him sitting there. She smiled kindly and said, "It looks like you've made some progress, but it's a big task, isn't it?" Kuda sighed. "Yes, it is, but I'm not giving up yet." Taro nodded, understanding Kuda's determination. "I know you're strong, Kuda, but sometimes even the strongest need a little help. If you let me join you, we can do this together." Kuda was quiet for a moment. He didn't want to admit that he needed the help, but deep down he knew that Taro was right. However, he was still not yet ready to give up on doing it alone. "Thank you, Tariro, but I can manage," he said, trying to sound confident. "I just need more time." Taro didn't push him further. She knew that Kuda would need to realize on his own that some tasks are too big to handle alone. As she walked away, Kuda felt a little unsure, but he pushed the doubt aside and continued working late into the night. Chapter 3. The struggle continues. Days turned into weeks and Kuda continued to work on his water tank. Each day, the challenges seemed to grow bigger. The stones seemed heavier, and the task of building the tank felt more overwhelming. He had barely managed to build half of the tank's wall, and he was already running out of materials. The village elders, who had noticed Kuda's efforts, approached him one afternoon. "Kuda, we see that you are working hard, but why do you insist on doing this alone?" one elder asked. Kuda, now visibly worn out, responded, "I want to prove that I can do it by myself. I have a good idea and I believe I can finish it." The elders exchanged glances. "A good idea is the start of many great things," said another elder. "But in our village, we have a saying, two heads are better than one. Working together doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are wise enough to know that some tasks need more than one person." Kula listened, but still didn't want to give up. He thanked the elders for their advice, but continued to work on his own. As the days passed, Kula's struggle became more apparent. He couldn't keep up with the demands of the project. The villagers watched as Kula's progress slowed down to almost a halt. He had become too tired to work as quickly as before, and the project that had once filled him with excitement now seemed like an impossible task. One evening, as Kuda sat by the half-built tank, his hands rough and his back aching, Taro came to him again. This time, she brought a basket of food. "Kuda," she said softly, "I've brought you something to eat. You've been working so hard, you must be hungry." Kuda accepted the food gratefully. As they sat together eating in silence, Tariro spoke again. "Kuda, I've been thinking. Your idea really is great, and I know you want to finish this tank, but maybe it's time to ask for help. We can do this together, and this will be much easier." Kuda looked at the tank, then at Tariro. For the first time, he felt the weight of his stubbornness. He had wanted so badly to do it on his own, but now he could see that the task was too big for just one person. You are right, Tariro. Kuda finally admitted, I need help. I can't do this alone. Tariro smiled, relieved. Then let's do it together, and I'm sure others in the village will help too. After all, this tank is for everyone. Kuda felt a sense of relief and hope. With Tariro's support and the help of the villagers, he knew that they could finish the water tank and it would be even better than he had imagined. Chapter 4, The Call for Help. The next morning, Kuda and Taro gathered the villagers under the big baobab tree at the center of Mbaira. The baobab tree was where the villagers often met to discuss important matters, so it was the perfect place to share their plan. Kuda stood up and spoke to the crowd. My friends and family, I've been working on a project to build a water tank in our village. I wanted to do it alone, but now I realize that I need your help. Together, we can build something that will benefit all of us. The villagers listened carefully. They knew that Kuda had been working hard, and many of them had already noticed the struggle he was facing. Taro stepped forward and added, this water tank is not just Kuda's dream, it is for everyone. If we work together, we can build it quickly and make it strong. Two heads are better than one, and many hands make light work. The villagers nodded in agreement. They understood the wisdom in Taro's words. One by one, they began to offer their help. Some brought tools, others offered to carry stones, and still others said they would help mix the clay. Even the children offered to fetch water from the river to help with the construction. With everyone united, the atmosphere was filled with excitement and energy. Kuda felt a great sense of relief and joy. He knew that with the whole village working together, the water tank would be finished in no time. As the villagers started gathering materials and organizing themselves, Kuda realized how much easier everything seemed. The stones that were once too heavy for him to lift alone were now being carried by two or three people. The clay that he struggled to mix by himself was now being prepared in large batches by groups of women. The work had become more than just building a tank, it was a celebration of unity and community spirit. Chapter 5, Building Together. With the whole village working together, progress on the water tank was swift. Each person had a role to play, and everyone's contribution was important. The men and older boys worked on lifting and placing the stones, while the women and girls mixed the clay and helped with the construction. The children fetched water from the river and brought food and drinks to the workers. Kuda and Tari led the efforts, making sure everything was done correctly. Kuda's clever ideas combined with Tariro's practical skills made them a great team. They planned each step carefully, ensuring that the tank would be strong and long lasting. As the walls of the tank grew taller, the villagers felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. They were not just building a structure, they were building something that would benefit everyone in the village for many years to come. One afternoon, as the sun was high in the sky, the elders of the village came to visit the construction site. They were amazed at how quickly the tank was coming together. One elder, Sekuru Mavudzi, said, this is what happens when people work together. Look at how much you have accomplished in such a short time, Kuda and Tariru. You've shown us all the true meaning of the proverb two heads are better than one. On your own, you accomplish less, but together, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Kuda and Taro smiled, grateful for the elders' words. They knew that the tank was not just a testament to their own efforts, but to the power of working together as a community. As the days passed, the tank neared completion. The walls were strong and the tank was large enough to hold plenty of water. The villagers were excited knowing that soon they would no longer have to walk all the way to the river for water. Chapter 6, The Finishing Touches. With the water tank nearly complete, the villagers began to focus on the finishing touches. They smoothed the walls with extra clay and decorated the tank with patterns made from small stones. The women added a border of flowers around the base of the tank, making it not only functional but also beautiful. Kuda and Taro worked side by side, ensuring everything was done correctly. Kuda, who had started this project with the intention of doing it alone, now realized how much more they had achieved together. Taro, always practical, was glad to see how the village had come together to create something meaningful. One day, as they were putting the final stones in place, Taro turned to Kuda and said, Kuda, this tank is more than just a place to store water. It is a symbol of what we can accomplish when we work together. I am glad we did this as a team. Kuda nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. I'm glad too, Tariro. I was wrong to think I could do it alone. Two heads really are better than one. As the last stone was placed, the villagers gathered around to admire their work. The tank stood tall and proud, a testament to the power of teamwork and community spirit. The village chief Mambo Chigova arrived to see the finished tank. He was very impressed and congratulated everyone on their hard work. This is a great achievement, he said, not just because of the tank, but because of the way you all worked together. This is a lesson for all of us that when we join our efforts, we can accomplish anything. The villagers cheered, feeling proud of what they had created together. The water tank was now complete and it was ready to be filled with water. Chapter 7, The First Fill. The next morning, the villagers gathered early by the river. Today was a special day. They were going to fill the new water tank for the first time. Everyone was excited, especially the children who could hardly wait to see the tank full. Kuda and Taro stood by the tank, making sure everything was ready. The tank was clean and the pipes were in place, leading from the river to the tank. It was time to put their hard work to the test. Mambo Chugoa gave the signal, and the villagers began to fill their buckets from the river. The buckets were then poured into the tank, one after another. It was hard work, but everyone was happy to do it. As the water level in the tank slowly rose, the villagers cheered and clapped, encouraging each other to keep going. After several hours of hard work, the tank was finally full. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and the villagers gathered around to admire the sight. Sekuru Mavudzi, who had been watching closely, said, this water tank is more than just a place to store water. It is a reminder of what we can achieve when we work together. We've learned that with many hands, even the heaviest load can be lifted. Kuda felt a deep sense of pride as he looked at the full tank. He turned to Tariro and said, I couldn't have done this without you, Tariro. I'm so glad we worked together. Tariro smiled, and I'm glad too, Kuda. This is a lesson we will never forget. Two heads are always better than one. The villagers celebrated their achievement with singing and dancing, grateful for the new water tank that would make their lives easier. The tank was more than just a container for water. It was a symbol of unity and the power of teamwork. Chapter 8, Sharing the Blessing. With the water tank filled, the villagers of Mbaira began to feel the benefits of their hard work. No longer did they need to walk long distances to the river, especially during the hot days. The water tank had become a central part of village life, making daily chores easier and giving the people more time to focus on other important activities. But the villagers didn't just keep the blessing to themselves. They wanted to share their good fortune with the neighboring villages that did not have their own water tanks. Mambo Chugova called for a meeting under the baobab tree, inviting the leaders of nearby villages to come and see the new water tank. When the leaders arrived, they were amazed by what they saw. The water tank was large and well built, and it was full of fresh, clean water. Kuda and Taro explained how the tank was built and how the whole village had come together to make it happen. The visiting leaders were impressed. "This is truly remarkable," said Chief Nyika from the neighboring village of Murewa. "We have always struggled with fetching water, and we never thought of building a tank like this. You have shown us that when people work together, they can achieve great things." Kuda and Taro beamed with pride. They offered to help the neighboring villages, but they are to build their own tanks, just as Mbaira had done. "We are all part of one big community," Kuda said. "If we work together, we can help each other and make life better for everyone." The neighboring leaders agreed, and plans were made to start building water tanks in other villages. The villagers of Mbaira promised to share their knowledge and lend a hand wherever they were needed. The spirit of teamwork and collaboration spread beyond Mbaira, reaching other communities who were inspired by the story of the water tank. Soon other villages began to work together to build their own tanks, and the region became known for its unity and cooperation. Chapter 9, the Festival of Unity. To celebrate the success of the water tank and the spirit of teamwork, Mambo Chigova decided to hold a grand festival in Mubaira. It would be called the Festival of Unity, and everyone from the village and the surrounding areas was invited to attend. Preparations for the festival began immediately. The villagers worked together to prepare food, set up decorations, and plan activities for the celebration. There would be traditional dances, music, and storytelling, all centered around the theme of unity and working together. Kuda and Tari were asked to share the story of how the water tank was built as an example of what can be achieved when people come together. They were excited to tell their story and to inspire others to embrace teamwork in their own lives. On the day of the festival, the village was filled with excitement. People from all over the region came to Mbaira, dressed in their best clothes, ready to celebrate. The sound of drums and mbira music filled the air, and the aroma of delicious food made everyone's mouth water. As the sun began to set, the villagers and their guests gathered around a large bonfire in the center of the village. Mambo Chugova welcomed everyone and spoke about the importance of unity. "Today, we celebrate not just the building of a water tank, but the power of working together. When we join our hands and our hearts, there's nothing we cannot achieve." Huda and Tyrell then stood up to tell their story. They spoke about the challenges they faced, the lessons they learned, and the joy of working with their friends and neighbors. "We learned that two hands are better than one," Tariro said, "but we also learned that many hands make light work. This water tank is not just ours, it belongs to all of us." The crowd cheered and applauded, inspired by their words. The festival continued late into the night with dancing, singing, and laughter. The people of Mbaira and the surrounding villages felt a deep sense of connection, knowing that they were stronger together. Chapter 10, a lesson for the future. As the festival ended and the guests began to return to their homes, the villagers of Mbaira reflected on what they had learned from the experience. The water tank had not only solved a practical problem, but had also taught them valuable lessons about teamwork, cooperation, and the strength of community. Mambo Chugova called a final meeting under the baobab tree to discuss how they could carry these lessons forward. He wanted to make sure that the spirit of unity continued to thrive in Baira even after the excitement of the festival had faded. We have accomplished something great, the chief said, but this is just the beginning. We must continue to work together, not only when we face big challenges, but in our everyday lives. Let us always remember that two heads are better than one. The villagers agreed. They decided to hold regular meetings to discuss ways they could continue to improve their village and help each other. They also agreed to work with neighboring villages on other projects, sharing their skills and knowledge. Kuda and Taro were chosen to lead these efforts as they had shown great wisdom and leadership during the water tank project. They accepted the responsibility with gratitude, knowing that they had the support of their entire community. As they walked through the village that evening, Kuda and Taro felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They knew that the work they had done together had made a lasting impact, not just in Mobaira but in the entire region. The water tank stood as a reminder of what could be achieved when people came together, and the lessons they had learned would guide them in the years to come. Conclusion summary. The story of Mubaira village centers on the proverb two heads are better than one. CHARA CHIMWE HACHITSWANYI INDA. It begins with Kudakwash, an ambitious young man with a bright idea to build a water tank to help his village. Initially, he tries to tackle the enormous task on his own, determined to prove his capability. However, as the challenges pile up, he realizes that the work is too much for one person to handle. With the gentle encouragement of his friend Tariro and the wisdom of the village elders, Kuda finally understands the value of teamwork. He invites Tariro and the rest of the villagers to join him in the project. Together, they work tirelessly and eventually succeed in building a large, well functioning water tank that benefits the entire village. The success of the water tank teaches the villagers the importance of collaboration and mutual support. They decide to share their newfound knowledge with neighboring villages, leading to a widespread spirit of cooperation in the region. To celebrate their achievement and the unity it brought, Mambo Chugova organizes a grand festival of unity where the story of the water tank is shared and the lessons learned are passed on to others. The story concludes with the villagers of Mbaira embracing the principles of teamwork and community spirit as they look forward to future projects. Kura and Tariro are chosen to lead these efforts, ensuring that the wisdom they gained continues to guide the village. The water tank stands as a lasting symbol of what can be achieved when people come together, and the story leaves the reader with a powerful message: two heads are better than one, and many hands make light work. Chara chimwe hachitswanyi inda. This is the end.